Welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I am recapping episode 6 of And Just Like That. And I want to be clear that that's the only time that I refer to this show as And Just Like That. It will still and forever be Sex and the City for me. And I wonder why they even made that change, because who about to take all the time to say And Just Like That? It doesn't even roll off the tongue like that, you know? So anywho, I feel like the theme of this episode was embracing change. I think there's a very fine line between comfort and complacency. And for some of the characters, I think some of our characters are having an easier time of accepting what is versus others. Charlotte, of course, is someone who I think has a very anxious personality type, and she thrives off of control, like controlling her environment, controlling what happens, and all of these things, which is why she's such an intentional planner. I think that that gives her a sense of calm and a sense of ease because she's a very anxious person. So this episode, Carrie is looking for a new apartment, and she lands on a place that's on the water. It's a little bit more modern. She doesn't love it, but she signs the contract because she's like, you know what? Big is dead. I need to move on with my life. I've, been in the apartment that she moved back to. She's been in for longer than we've been alive. She had that apartment for longer than we've been alive. And she doesn't want to be stuck, right? And I think, especially when you're going through something as intense as grief, it's really comforting to be in a familiar place. And I think sometimes we overdo that because you can end up getting complacent in that comfortable place. Like, I will always go back and rewatch 30 Rock. I will rewatch Living Single. I will rewatch Seinfeld, Schitt's Creek, all of these shows that I know backwards and forwards because they give me a sense of calm when everything else is gestures broadly. Like, we have a lot going on in the world, and sometimes it just really makes you feel calm and safe to watch something that has very low stakes. You know exactly what it is. You don't have to be so emotionally invested all over again. So I think that's where Carrie is in terms of her apartment versus moving into somewhere new. And she's been dragging Seema all over the place. She looked at, what did she say, like 40 something apartments, and, finally just settled on this one. Never a good idea to settle, but that's another video for another day. And we're still seeing her grieving process. They go to her storage unit. She's opening boxes and she sees Big's albums, and it's almost like you grieve all over again once you get triggered, once you realize that something old is there and it reminds you of the person or the thing or the event. And it's like you're reliving it all over again. And I think we do that a lot. Like, you think that you're over something, and the smallest thing, it can be a song, it can be a smell, it can be a whatever, and you're just right back in that place. Because again, grief is not linear. Growth is not linear. Change isn't even linear. It's very, if you guys ever watch The Good Place, Jeremy Bearimy, one of my favorite concepts, look it up. So let's talk about the Diwali storyline. It's kind of a B plot. I am happy for representation, particularly of South Asian cultures. Again, it feels kind of on the nose. And this episode, I also felt like even the scene with Dr. Wallace and her husband and their issue with fertility, it felt just like stuck in there. They are really trying to rectify the lack of diversity from the OG Sex and the City by putting in these storylines, and even the conversation about wearing the sari, the appreciation versus appropriation, I felt like was so on the nose. I think that there was another way to communicate that other than just so specifically saying it. I say that as a Black woman who constantly sees Black culture being appropriated. So maybe for the, Indian community, maybe they were fine with it. And I'm going to be really honest. I would love a reason to wear a sari. They are so freaking beautiful. I just want someone to give me a reason. So I get it. But I felt like that was just so on the nose. We also learned that Seema has a fake boyfriend named Dennis that she told her parents about that does not really exist. And Carrie asked her, like, are you happy though, you know, being single? And I really felt Seema, obviously Seema's like a decade or two older than me, but in general, I do enjoy being single a lot. Every now and again, you know, every third moon or something, I'm like, oh, it would really be nice to have someone here right now. But there's a lot to enjoy about being single. Maybe I'll do another video about that at a later time. But the Diwali celebration looked lovely. I, like most people, know about Diwali from The Office. It's one of my favorite episodes. I'm not a South Asian person. Again, so I don't know how problematic it is. But I want to go to a Diwali celebration too. Like, if anyone wants to invite me to one, I'll come. I will not wear a sari unless you tell me that I can. And I won't make a whole thing about it. Anywho, check my notes. So, Miranda keeps having sex flashbacks. And girl, I get it. Like, I get it. I just want to say I feel really bad for Steve. And I don't really be feeling bad for men like that. But like I said in my last video, I love Steve. I want Steve to have better. I want him to have a better life. And seeing that Miranda is kind of moving forward with things with Shay by sending this message like, hey, let's hang out. I'm like, oh, poor Steve. Like, Steve cheated so long ago. And now you're going to like repay him because you're having a midlife crisis. Steve isn't even getting a lot of screen time. I want justice for Steve. Damn it. I feel conflicted about that. Like, why am I empathizing with this man? Again, I just always like Steve. I also really like Harry, and I'm happy we're getting a lot of Harry. Anthony and this facelift. So he and Stanford were going to do his and his facelifts. I'm really happy that this plastic surgeon was like, Chad, you don't need a facelift. It was a different story when it came to Carrie. He's like, you know, we can undo the last 15 years. And when he did that computer simulation, it really did look like the OG Carrie Bradshaw. I want to be very clear. I am not opposed to a little nip and tuck here, a few injections, fillers, like whatever. Not even on the strength of like fighting against aging, but it's hard to look at yourself and not recognize yourself anymore. I am happy that Carrie came to a place where she was like, I don't need to undo the last 15 years. The last 15 years were, you know, a journey and I don't need to undo them. And I think that that's great. I think that when people can age gracefully, it's a really beautiful thing. Like, I look at my mom. I was looking at my mom the other day and I was like, God, you are so pretty. And my mom is 65. She's like, she has this just beautiful salt and pepper hair, and she just has these like super high cheekbones and perfect skin and just like the most gorgeous eyebrows. And I was just like, oh my God, I hope this is what I have to look forward to. Like, you are so beautiful. And she was just like, thank you. I hope I get to be one of the people who ages gracefully, whatever that means. But some people just don't, and women are under a lot of pressure, whether we want to accept that or not, to look a certain kind of way no matter what happens, gravity, whatever. I just feel like whatever you choose to do to yourself, make sure that it's for yourself. That's my only thing when it comes to that stuff. Like, don't let it be because society is making you feel a certain kind of way. Like, do it because you want to do it. So let's address the conversation where Miranda confesses to Charlotte that she did have an affair. And there is an ongoing conversation right now about the fact that people don't really consider lesbian sex to be real sex. It's like, oh, it was a finger. It's like, but you did have sex though. Like, and I guess maybe I'm interested to continue to see like where this conversation goes. Like, what's the difference between, you know, I think people feel like only penetrative sex is sex. And only traditional penetrative sex between a het man and a het, you know, cis woman, whatever, is sex. But like, Miranda did have an affair, and Charlotte, being Charlotte, she responds exactly like we did. Also, shouts out to the Brandon Black lid bag. I picked one of those out for my one of my good friends for Mother's Day. So cute. Anyway, if anybody wants to send me one, feel free. Charlotte does not Charlotte reacted the way that Charlotte would react to something like that, and then like tells Miranda that she's not progressive enough for that kind of relationship. And it's like, bitch, you not progressive enough. Like, you're not progressive at all. What it really is that Charlotte is projecting the fact that her child is grappling with her identity, and the fact that, you know, they don't want to have these dolls, you know, in their room anymore. Even Lily finally spoke up and was like, girl, these are like culturally inappropriate. We don't want this shit. And, you know, Rock is like, I want to redo this room to be more reflective of me. And Charlotte is having a very hard time with those changes. And I was happy that she said, why can't everyone just stay the same? Or why can't everything just stay the same? I have absolutely felt like that sometimes, where it's me who has evolved. It's me who's changed. It's me who has different standards for people in my life. But then I look around and it's like, these people have stayed the same. And I wish that they would actually come along with me. But I have had moments where I'm just like, damn, maybe ignorance was bliss, because like I'm looking around and the people who I held really close and important to me are no longer the same people, because I have changed. And I have had those moments sometimes where I'm like, bitch, was it worth it? It is always worth it to grow. Therapy is always worth it. Let the chips fall where they may. But I have had those moments. Oh, I also love that Miranda's sober journey is underway. They're having non-alcoholic wine to support her. Beautiful. Love that. And it also really made me want a charcuterie board. I might go get one of those this afternoon. Anyway, I do also want to talk about Dr. Wallace's fertility journey. And, you know, being triggered by the friend who is fertile myrtle. I know several fertile myrtles. And having friends who have and are currently going through a fertility journey. My hope for Dr. Wallace is that her husband is on board with wherever this falls. I think that her feeling relief at not being pregnant the first time the IVF didn't take is a sign that maybe you don't really like want a baby. And like, as long as you and your partner are in alignment, let it be what it's going to be. But the statement that that fertile myrtle's husband made, where it was just like, you guys need to pick up the slack. Like, people have to be more conscious and more aware of the way they talk about these certain things that like people just do not have control over. And I felt for her in that moment, because it's just like, damn, y'all having 3, we can't even have 1. Like, that has to be really hard. And I was happy that her husband gave her that support of like, you don't have to be shy or uncomfortable or nervous with me. It's me. Like, emotional intimacy and vulnerability. Absolutely love it. Oh, so Carrie, you know, reveals to Seema that she hates the apartment. And, you know, Seema's like, girl, we can sell it. And I absolutely love that, because like, nothing is permanent. If you make a change and you end up not liking that change, you can make another change. And that's one of the beautiful things about life. It can be scary, and it can also be really beautiful that nothing is permanent. If you are not happy with something, you get to change it. Well, within reason. There's a lot of privilege associated here, like, let's be clear. But in general, a lot of us have a lot more freedom to choose the kind of life that we want, to choose where we want to live. And I think we sometimes are more stuck in our minds than we realize. And I love that Carrie is getting to be like, oh, I don't want to be here. Oh, I can just move back. So I do hope that she fixes whatever that stain is on her sit. Let's make some improvements to this apartment, because you can change that too. Like, let's just update some shit and then we can, you know, move forward. But I was happy with this episode. It wasn't like, you know, super dramatic or anything like that. It gave us a little bit, and it gave us some things to think about in terms of like how we relate to change and the boundary between comfort and complacency. And these are things that I'm not their age, but that I'm thinking about. So I was really happy with this episode. The previous episode is still my favorite thus far, because it felt very OG Sex in the City, but this one was fine. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Slide in the comments. Give me your thoughts. How did you feel about the conversation on cultural appropriation? Do y'all feel sorry for Steve as well? Let me know what you guys think, and be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're happy with what you are seeing on my channel, join my Patreon, send me some money, and you get to decide on a topic of your choosing that I will talk about on an episode of this channel. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.